We are live and ready, and President Melanie is online.
Perfect. So we'll go ahead and get started. It is, what is it, 1:15, Thursday, January 11th, for our Communications Committee meeting. I'm Dora Wilson. I am a Communications Chair and Board Member. And if we can just go through, starting with
Andy Hubbleman,
veterans.
Kelly Lessons, board member.
Erica Sullivan, Executive Assistant. Katie Grant, Executive Assistant.
Corey Allen Young, Assistant Communications Director.
Jared Bryant, superintendent.
Andy Ratliff, CFO.
Cindy Shapiro, CCL Director.
Hans Rodnick, Assistant Director of Communications.
Kirsten Johnson Strumbler, Senior Director of Teaching and Learning.
Corey is the teacher and the president.
Awesome. Thank you. So we'll just go ahead and get started, start running through things. First thing on the agenda is the communications update, and I think there's.
We're both
Corey,
gonna do it.
okay.
We're gonna split it. I'm gonna start off with the external. So obviously externally, we've been kind of rock and rolling since the beginning of the school year. A lot of really good engagement. Our goal is to try to reach every single school, and try to share some kind of positive story. It's a huge task, but I think we're up to it. We're introducing things like middle school move, PBIS. There's a video coming on soon. School start times. We'll be working with Dr. Johnson Schruppler and their team with the CCL Academy type stuff. If you look at our social media, there's a lot of good engagement. We had a post recently over the holiday, before the holidays, actually, shooting at Eagle River Choir. It had 206,000 views. And so it's pretty good stuff there. Just highlighting positive things with our students and our staff. I'm gonna hand it over now to Hans, who's gonna talk about things.
Yeah, so on the internal side of things, over the last, since I came on board, we restarted Inside ASD, which is our internal newsletter that goes out to all staff. It's pretty exciting. Based on the data that we've been able to see out of it, we've got a really high penetration rate. So folks are opening it a lot more than other schools based on what we're able to see from the service provider we use. So that's great. It's a piece of content that staff had asked for and wanted to see. So we got that back up and running. We'll be publishing another one the 24th. So we're doing that once a month. And then as part of our staff surveys we did to hear from folks, kind of to gain more insight on what they wanted, we started school board recaps. So bi-weekly, those go out Wednesdays after the school board meetings, provide a recap of the work sessions and the board meetings as well. And based on what I've been told, it's been fairly well received. So those are the two big pieces of content that we've done, and a variety of other things happening as well.
I've noticed outside comms, and I'm really happy to hear about the inside communications because the district is so large. Staff can easily miss lots of changes. There's so many changes. So great job on communications.
Yes. I receive the school board recaps and I find them really valuable, and it's something that I did as a candidate for school board, just sort of to keep track of things, and I know that other board members just try to summarize and share with the community. Is there a plan to push those school board recaps out at all? Because I think they're a wonderful, highly neutral. It's the sort of thing that when I share with a community council, like I go back and I think, oh, what did we do over the last month? But you've kind of done it for me, so I've just started copying and pasting, which is great. And I know that President Bellamy has provided updates to the Federation of Community Councils. But if you were able to just push that really wonderful, succinct summary with the hyperlinks already embedded out, I think that's great.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Lessons, we can certainly find a spot on the website to put those, and so that folks can grab them and have them housed. And if it's helpful to send to you guys as well, we can provide that so that you can share it with your audiences and constituencies. We can certainly do that. I'll talk with MJ and Mark, find a spot for it.
Yeah, I just think they're too helpful to just stay within ASD.
Yeah, great idea. And I can touch later too on the that number 4 skill.
Awesome. Anyone online? I think Margaret, President Bellamy's online. Comments, questions?
She had a hand up, but then it went down, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm good. I just ditto everything that's been said. I really do appreciate the recap. It saves me some time. Selfishly, it saves me time because my monthly report, I actually have to change it twice a month because things change. We have more than, we have the 2 meetings, and by the time I get to half of my councils, we've done something else or something else has taken place. So I love that. And member lessons idea of making it accessible would be great, because we do have community councils that would really like to have they keep information on their on their site, and if they can apply, they often ask if they can apply for a newsletter from the ASD. So it'll be nice to be able to send them to wherever we end up putting that recap. So good work, guys. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yes. Okay, any other questions, comments for communications team? Community engagement is next on the agenda, but our community engagement person was not able to attend. She is. I'm
So I
sorry.
do have this is Margot. I have something to add, to share with the committee.
Please.
So this was really meant to be and I've already spoken to Katie and to America about beginning to follow our plan, because we have a plan. We have a community engagement calendar that's part of this community, our overall community engagement plan. So the board has a calendar, and so we will start to implement that calendar starting this year, starting in 2024. We're going to pick it back up. We had it going, and then we kind of things weren't quite ready, so we put things off. So now we're going to resume those. So and that basically is inviting us once a month, hearing from one of our advisory groups, and so that will be continuing, or at least we're going to try to continue that. The other thing I have under community engagement is I had a meeting with Senator L.V. Gray Jackson, and she has asked for support from the board for 2 of her, at least either a resolution or letter of support. I'm not sure which it would be, but I would like to hear from get some feedback from the administration. So House Bill, I think Dr. Bryan, I think you also met with Senator Gray Jackson.
Yes.
And I don't have my notes in front of me, because usually we have, Jim has been great giving us an overview of all the bills and kind of where the district falls in terms of highly supportive or cautiously supportive or whatever. But SB 24 is mental health. This bill would amend a health education law by allowing students to receive ongoing education on mental health, by adding mental health and physical health to the list of health topics. And school districts are encouraged, not required, but encouraged to include in their kindergarten through 12th grade programs. And secondly, requiring the State Board of Education to do some things. So I don't know. I'm perfectly willing to work on if this is something the committee wants to pursue, then I could get with the superintendent and with staff to be able to and write something that could come back before. But she kind of wants it sooner rather than later. So it may be that a letter of support might be more appropriate. Dr. Bryant, do you have any thoughts on the mental health, or Jim, whoever's in the room?
Sure, through the chair, I can speak to it. I did speak with Senator Gray Jackson, and the way that she shared information about the bill, and this was a few weeks back, so I might not remember all the information, but essentially it would be a bill that shows that encourages districts to provide information around mental health and regulation strategies to support students, and really the only concern that I had was any sort of mandates for specific classes or things that would bind resources or a lot of specificity for the district. But she and the staff had shared that it really is more broad so that districts can do what makes the most sense for their circumstances. And I shared that, you know, we are very supportive of investing in student mental health. So it was a very positive conversation.
Okay. And I think it's in alignment with our, and I agree. I don't want another unfunded mandate before us. This does not appear to be that. But it is in alignment also with our guardrails. So anyway, if I'm not even sure how to proceed, Madam Chair, other than to hear from others in the room whether or not they, you know, we want to support SB 24 through with the, and I'm happy to just send a letter on behalf of the or work with the chair to do a letter on behalf of the committee or to I don't know, so I don't know how to proceed.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, just as a recommendation from a strategic viewpoint, I would, this is Hans, sorry, President Bellamy.
Yes.
Having a letter of support coming from the whole board or as many of the board members that are willing to sign on versus a standalone committee is more impactful.
Okay.
The overall district is in favor of it, you know, Dr. Bryan and the administration have to analyze it, you know, having a joint letter goes more to this committee versus standalone members.
yeah, and President Bellamy, this is Kirsten. I was just going to add to the conversation that Senator Gray Jackson had reached out to both teaching and learning and mental health departments as well.
Okay.
And so there was a meeting by some folks within those departments to review kind of the legislation and so the only concerns, and I wouldn't even say they're concerns, but just things to think about is what Dr. Bryant mentioned. Making sure it's not an unfunded mandate, you know, as a requirement, but we were supportive of the concept, and it was in line with kind of where we're headed as a district already.
Okay. Thanks, Kirsten, because that really was my thought as well. And I actually gave her the information to check in with our mental health, not mental health, but our staff in the mental health supports department. So now the next question would be somebody to, and I agree, thank you. Was that Hans that suggested the, that we do something from the board? And I don't know if for those who want to sign, was that Hans?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so one of my questions for MJ was to actually, when he gets back, is to get one of y'all to help me write something. So that we can, so that it says, it does not appear to be an unfunded mandate. It does not. It appears to encourage districts to do certain things. So anyway, that is one. So I will follow up with, I'll follow up with Dr. Bryant, and I'll follow up with communications to kind of come up with a letter, which I will share with board members at our retreat, and those who wish to sign on can sign it, and those who do not don't have to. Does that sound like a plan?
Yes, and it's helpful. I'd be happy to sign it too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Member Lessons has something she wanted to jump in and add about, or
Yeah,
about.
it's, thank you for sharing that, President Bellamy. I had asked the governance committee to entertain a new board policy for health education that came out of last year's work with the wellness committee. Basically, it turns out that health is really messy and kind of everywhere. And so I worked very on a regular basis with Ms. Sutton throughout the fall. We have a draft new health policy. The governance hasn't yet said, but I'll just read a line out of it.
Cool.
It would say that all K-12 students enrolled in a health education class shall receive age-appropriate instruction on mental health within the district's comprehensive health education curriculum program. So Ms. Sutton and I were very strategic about being
Awesome.
aware of the senator's proposed bill and incorporating it into a potential new policy that just sort of helps outline the health program. So I look forward to the governance committee meeting that, but that might be helpful for her to know. And I can share this, I can forward this to you again if that's helpful.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you. Perfect, perfect. And Madam Chair, I have one more item. If
I can just jump in and also comment that I have also spoke with Senator Gray Jackson in depth about the mental health bill and also a lot of the work that's being done in the district sounds like it lines up with her bill. So I'm extremely supportive of it as well. But please continue on to what you wanted to say.
So the next one is SB 131, which is another one of Senator Gray Jackson's bills. It's an act requiring education in the history and contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Let's see, and this is under this act, let's see, each school district shall establish and provide to students in kindergarten through grade 12 a program approved by the department that includes 1, instruction in the history of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders and contributions made by Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States. And 2, instructional materials that portray the cultural and economic diversity of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. That is the complete text of the bill. Dr. Bryant, did you talk to her about this one as well? What are your thoughts?
We didn't talk about that one at length as and I believe we had talked about a third bill as well.
Yeah, Juneteenth, but we already have embraced Juneteenth.
Okay, yeah, we mostly talked about Juneteenth and mental health, but as far as I'm aware, the bill supports our PI population, and it seems something that we'd be happy to support from our perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So those are the two that I will work with. Kelly, send me what you have for SB, what you just read me, so we can fit that in some kind of way. And when MJ gets back on Monday, I'm glad Hans and Corey are in the room so they can run interference and let him know that this is coming. I need help. But thank you guys. I think that's it for, is there anybody in the room that does not support either one of the bills, SB 131 or 24? 24 is the mental health. I'm really excited about the mental health one. I'm excited about both of them, really.
Person, did you talk to?
I don't know that much about SB 131. If it's very simplistic as a supportive bill, I don't think it would be problematic. If it comes with requirements, we need to look at how we fit them in. But it sounds like it's pretty general, and most of our history curriculum does include parts and pieces of this already.
It's like already, yeah. That's kind of what I thought too, Dr. Johnson.
We require a review. I'm sorry, Madam President, this is Jim Anderson.
Yes, hi.
The bill, it says each school district shall establish and provide kindergarten through 12th grade, a program approved by deed that includes instruction. So it would require a review for kindergarten through 12th grade. And then if we didn't have the instructional materials
Already.
we would need to generate those.
Yeah, okay. So we might need to look into our curriculum so we can see where that is. I'm sure it's there. It's just a matter of if it meets the robustness of the bill.
Okay.
So
maybe let's do more research on the impact of 131. I mean, it does support I'm just looking at it narrowly from the perspective of supporting our Pacific Islander and Asian families. But at the same time, we don't have enough money right now to do what we need to do. And don't know that, I don't know what this is gonna cost. There was no fiscal note attached to this one. And I don't know if that's by accident or by, or just doesn't exist. I don't know. So, so
Madam
let's,
President,
yeah.
when there's no fiscal note, that means there's no cost to the state, not
Oh,
no
okay.
cost.
So it'll be might be a cost to us.
It could be, if it's left to deed, I think what is the larger question from my standpoint is what would deed require to meet the letter of that bill, like as written,
So, but we could support it and make sure that our support indicates what our concerns are, right?
we could do that, yeah.
Yeah. So I would, you know, because I could be supportive of something until I know what it costs. But at the same time, and then that would also relay to the senator or whoever else looks at those letters of support that that while we support it, we actually do have some other concerns. It's okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll work on it. I'll have something at our retreat. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other community engagement comments, questions to throw out there before we move on?
I do know the MECAC meeting is tonight, so I don't know if you want that on the record, and the topic is college career life ready.
And will you go ahead and just state
Sure.
time and place?
So the MECAC meeting is 6 to 8 in the boardroom tonight, and
Tonight.
we'll be online via Zoom as well, so.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the CCL update. So the college career life readiness update, the intention of having you folks come in is actually and the intention is to continue to have you come in just as you feel the need to give updates, so we can keep the board, the community apprised as well from our perspective.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
All great work. So I'm gonna let you guys take over.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. I brought Cindy with me, so we'll kind of tag team our updates today around the College Career Life Ready initiative. We're mostly referring to it as Academy of Bankers at this point. I actually think putting us on the communications agenda is really timely because there's going to be a lot of decision-making points over the course of this school semester. And a lot of community engagement and communication going out to our community as well. So the first thing I would share is that we do have a steering committee tomorrow morning at 8:30 with our steering committee that we've gathered. Essentially, we're formalizing our steering committee and starting to get bylaws in place. That'll be the large topic of our steering committee tomorrow. Establish who our voting members are on that steering committee, and start to solidify which seats are unfilled that we need to seat as members of the steering committee. So that steering committee, just as a way of an update, is going to be kind of our advisory board, if you will, to lead us through the academy's work, and it will have a majority of the folks at the table will be either community or business folks, but there will be folks like myself and Dr. Bryant and others from the district representing the school district as well. I know President Bellamy and Member Wilson are coming to those meetings, and so we'll have a robust discussion and hopefully have some bylaws in place and kind of a business practice that we can follow as we move forward and start making some decisions around academy selection. So that's good news. We've been working hard to really coordinate with our partners and come up with a good system for us to operate within the academy model. And their expertise at that level with community and business experience is really valuable for the work. So the other thing that's happening is that if you were at the community convening, you know that tactic teams are formed. And so those are going to be kicking off in earnest this month in January. Some of our tactic teams have been meeting on a regular basis already, but all of our tactic teams will have met at least once, if not twice, before our next community convening in February. With the idea that they've established their teams, they've organized a certain extent and established their regular meeting schedule. And they can start working on their high level goals for that tactic team that will become a part of the master plan that we bring forward to the board towards the end of this school year. And that will be essentially our 3-year strategic plan around the academics model for Anchorage. Part of that work of the tactic teams includes a lot of parent engagement. I think, Member Wilson, you're sitting on that tactic team. And we're trying to utilize them not only as a tactic team, but the other process that's going to be taking place this month concurrently to the tactic teams meeting is that we will be starting the academy selection process at the building level. So students and parents and staff will all be surveyed this month around which types of academies they believe would be beneficial for their communities. Each school is going to be able to make a recommendation to one of the tactic teams that's going to be making those decisions for the district around what kinds of academies they would like to see at their school based on their needs and interests of their local community. And one of the things that parent engagement tactic team is doing is really vetting those surveys to make sure that they're user friendly, they're culturally responsive, it reaches all audiences, and so we're utilizing them in lots of different ways. So yeah.
That's great. Could you possibly broaden that, because this current crop of high school students
yes
may be gone by the time they're implemented?
Yep.
Like, could you bring it down to the middle school feeders?
Yeah, that's actually a great point. We're doing that.
Okay.
So yeah, we are actually strategically surveying only 9th and 10th graders at the high school level. And we're also going to survey 7th and 8th graders because those are the students that are going to move into the academy model. So we really want to get at the students that are going to be affected by the changes. And so we do have a high school version and a middle school version because reading levels are different and developmental appropriateness and all of that stuff is different. So that will all be taking place in the course of January, is those surveys going out. We just met with the high school principals yesterday and outlined the process. So one of the things they will do is take that survey information, work at the local high school level. They'll look at workforce data. They'll look at what their facilities have capability for. They will look at the interest surveys that are sent out and those results. They will look at what I call legacy programs that are very successful and already a part of the school culture. And they will start to organize around the 16 career technical education career clusters and select from those 16 clusters that are recognized at a national level what types of areas they would like to see in their buildings. So the tactic team that Sven Gustafson is running is going to be the tactic team that has a decision-making process for approving those recommendations or giving feedback to schools for changes. And so at that tactic team level, once all of those schools send their first round of recommendations, that tactic team will start to look like, do the recommendations match what the workforce demand is in our community? Are they regionally placed so that students have opportunities if it's not at their home high school? And we'll look at a whole host of things to potentially give feedback to schools. So once that tactic team does some of that work, that'll be around the end of February into the beginning of March. That feedback will be sent back to schools so that they can either adjust, make edits, whatever the feedback is, work with it, and then they will give their final recommendation back to the tactic team. And then that tactic team will be able to solidify what our academy selection is for Anchorage. And so by the end of April, we should, for the board, be able to give you a preview of what that looks like. We'll also give a preview of that to the principals prior to it becoming public information. And then we will do an announcement May 1st of what those academies are. So I wanted to outline that process because there will be a lot of community conversation around it. And surveys will be out. So when you go to church on Sunday, everybody will probably be talking about it. So, or run into someone at the grocery store. So, Cindy and I are running point on that process with principals, and we will be working with principals individually through the months to make sure that those processes are really robust and transparent at their high school level as well. So, part of the process also is using an equity tool. Same for our tactic teams. That's another kind of process I wanted to just hit on. We've embedded an equity tool into everything that we're doing through the academy's work, as opposed to having like an equity review as an external process. So part of the work of the academies is that equity for students to have all of those opportunities. So we really wanted it to be embedded into all of the work. The other thing I was going to let this group know is that as of the winter break, we've been out to all high schools in some capacity to really work with staff. We did have one cancellation at the last minute. We are going to East next week. East had a staff meeting cancellation right before the break. So we've been trying to outreach quite a bit with our department chairs through a department chair meeting structure this year. We have gone to staff meetings. We've met with counseling groups. We've also met individually with some folks that have asked us to meet. So I just want to from a communication standpoint, let the group know that there's been a ton of outreach, both internally and externally over the last semester. So anything you want to add to that?
We've also had additional Zoom meetings for teachers who wanted to ask specific questions. We've in our general leadership meeting last month, we spent about an hour not only informing middle school principals where we were at, but also elementary. So we're trying to hit K through 12, providing some general context to the CCL program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then kind of like last highlight I wanted to bring up is that we did sign a contract with Thompson Media to help support us with some of the publication materials and video materials. It is paid for by the $15 million grant we received. And part of the work that they're going to be helping us with is putting together some flyers and videos that really, in a very succinct and simple way, explain the academy model and also freshman academy. And we should have those by the beginning of February, with the idea that principals and schools can use those for like their incoming eighth grade parent nights and student visits, particularly about freshman academy, but also to just really spread the word about what that academy model is, so that we can start to have some advertising as well, so that we have a really succinct message out to our community. It's not just word of mouth or looking at our website, if you will. So we're trying to do a really robust job of getting the word out about the changes that are coming. So those are the highlights. We'll have a lot more next month too. It'll be a busy spring, and so I think it's timely for us to be here to update everybody.
Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Information. I know that they're doing a lot.
It's fun though.
President Bellamy, questions, comments? I think you're the only one online. I do have one question. How many academies per school are we attending on?
So it's good. Yeah, it's a great question. So it'll look different at each school, depending on size. So conceptually, we recommend academies be anywhere from 250 to about 480 students. So at a smaller school, you may only see a couple of academies. At a larger school, you may see up to 4 or 5, depending on the size of the academies. So, but if if you remember, academies are the umbrella, and then there's the pathways underneath it. So kids will have a lot more choice than just two choices. If they only have two academies, there will be 3 or 4 choices for them underneath those academies.
And nobody has any questions on how that works, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey, I'm sorry, I was trying to find, I was muted, I'm sorry. I was talking to myself. Anyway, thank you for the update. I really, it's just so exciting. And I don't necessarily have a question, but I did want to, so is the portrait of a graduate, is that done? Or is that something we can talk about, again at our retreat?
We definitely can talk about it still. What we are doing currently, so the next community convening is scheduled for February 6th. It'll be a little bit of a different format than the first 2 community convenings. This community convening is really going to be about the tactic teams getting work time, but the other thing we will do is finalize the portrait of a graduate at that community convening. So we are taking all the feedback now, synthesizing that into a more final draft for the February 6th convening. So if you want to talk about it at the retreat, we definitely can.
Okay, and I think I would like to do that just at the very beginning of our meeting on that Friday, so that hopefully everybody don't have to come back on Saturday.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
and what's the time, February 6th?
It is from 8 to noon. Yeah.
Is that tomorrow?
On February 6th.
Oh, February 6th, okay.
Yeah, 8 to noon, and we'll be at the Egan Center this time. We needed space for breakout rooms for the tactic team, so we had to change venues this round.
Awesome, thank you. I'm adding it to my calendar to make sure I get on the right calendar at the right time. Any other questions, comments regarding the CCL update? Awesome, thank you guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we will jump ahead to the maybe combine 4 and 5, since it's going to be some of the same conversation. Legislative priorities and advocacy, and also talk about the 2024 AASB Leadership Academy and Legislative Fly-In Youth Advocacy Institute as well on February 9th through the 13th. So I know, Hans, you said you had something to share.
Yeah, just from a perspective of what the administration is doing, we're working on finalizing everyone's flights and hotels, but the fly-in date for the administration and ASD leadership is going to be from the 7th through the 10th of February. We wanted to sync it up with ACSA, but there's a school board meeting on the 6th on the budget, so all the district leadership will be here in town for that, and then those folks will come down 7th through, it looks like the evening of the 9th. So I'm planning individual meetings with legislators, coordinating a lunch and learn with Kirsten to talk about the Academy of Anchorage. It's a major selling point. What ASD is up to and kind of the vision the district is going towards. It's pretty exciting. Our June-based lobbyists hammering all of that out. Superintendent, folks from finance, HR, Jim, others. So that's going well. And then obviously the legislative priorities are online, so folks can refer back to that. And then as things go, if we get more letters of support for pieces of legislation, we can obviously put that stuff on the website as well.
Nice.
Awesome.
Superintendent, sure. Dr. Bright, did you have anything to add or? Covered so
Hans
far?
covered it.
Okay.
We have a
Perfect. And President Bellamy, I know you have something to add.
Just a little, and member lessons, look like member lessons and I are going to be our representation for the fly-in, along with our 4 students. And so we'll need to prepare much like what the superintendent, so if you can include us in on some of your planning with the superintendent, that would be awesome. So that we are in one, we are united in our message, and we don't cause more havoc than we are going to cause, but we won't do any more than we have to. And then the other thing is that I think the priorities, making, and I've already asked the administration for talking points so that when we do talk, whether it's Juneau or Anchorage, when we are talking about our priorities, that we are pretty much hitting the same points. I mean, all points won't be as important to us as others, but because I want people to speak from their heart, but I also want them to be within the boundaries of ASD needs and desires. So I don't know what that looks like, but usually there's a meeting before we go to Juneau. And I think that it used to be with Jim. Now I think it's going to be with Andy, or maybe it was with Jim and Andy. I can't remember. But I just want, we are willing to put in some prep time is all I'm saying. So please help us as much as you can. Kelly, I'm gonna pass to you. Are you still in the room?
Yeah, I am, thanks.
Okay.
Yes, it's actually really fantastic to know that leadership will be there ahead of us.
Us,
I think
yeah.
that there's gonna be a lunch and learn, because that, it's just helpful to know, you know, whatever the groundwork is going, and then I think the real, I've done the AASB flying now the past 2 years with our students, and I think it's really critical that our students kind of get a quick but informative overview of the situation, because then they'll be able to, I want them to be equipped to understand how our realities are going to shape their experiences as they tell their story. So I want to, you know, if Dr. Bryant and the administration is there the 7th through 10th, you know, I want our students in essence to be the closers. And whatever we can do to help give them the tool. I mean, when I go to the SAB meetings and when Dora's there, you know, I try to help give them an overview, but whatever we can do to help empower the students who are going, they're going to have their own advocacy training session, but it's a short amount of time to cram a lot of information, you know, to put a lot of information in them. So however we can empower them.
Yeah, we definitely could get those students together and talk about.
Danielle Lewis is interested.
Yeah.
I mean, Sammy, it's gonna be good to follow up with that.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, this is Hans again, President Bellamy, just so you can see. I'm planning on kind of doing that as sort of like a training for folks before going down to Juneau. You know, Corey and I both have experience, you know, in building kind of in that realm. And so we had to kind of put together like a sort of media training, Juneau, how-tos, what to do, not to do.
Awesome.
Especially for the students, you know, I'm thinking of like some of the collateral we'll have is a 1-pager of fact sheets. Kind of been talking with Andy and Jim about that, of like what's happened since 2017. The last BSA increase happened. You know, and then obviously our priorities document, and then if there's specific stuff that the school would want to be behind, we'd also, you know, be happy to help on that front.
And yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
If there's any way to, you know, what, you know, we've got a student from Diamond and then a student from Shediac and a student from, you know, South. If we could even get a little, you know, once the budget book, this is how the budget outlook is gonna affect Diamond High School. Your opportunity to have electives or APs or whatever, you know, I'd love to be able to give student X that information.
Yeah, I can coordinate with Hans on that,
Okay.
because I can look at the budget and talk about how it might affect the schedule and
Yeah.
opportunities
Yeah.
for this.
Fantastic.
And I mean, I want our students to be empowered, but I don't want them to be overwhelmed. Or fear or not prepared either. But I just know that their stories are important, however they choose to tell them. But at the same time, you know, this is an add-on for them. I think it's an add-on for all of us, but it's an add-on for them. And so whatever we do with them, just do it gently and don't overwhelm them with so that they're because they're not us and they're not intended to be, but they have valuable stories.
Just a question, just to clarify, is it member lessons and member Bellamy, or the two going down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
SAB advisor Danielle Lewis is going to be the chaperone, and she and Mr. Wheelis will select those students like
On the 19th, actually.
I will work with Katie and America to get those details, because we'll just need to get all that down to Heather and her team so we can
Yes.
sync things up.
I've been emailing with Heather, yeah.
So I've had the pleasure of going to Juneau, and I love to go when the students go. That's my favorite, actually. And they've been amazing and incredible and thoughtful and articulate. And my favorite is to go visit legislators with the students, with
Thank
me.
notes and chocolate.
Yeah, I'm all about the personal touch. But also to have a teacher in the room. So to me, it's always ideal when I can be in the room with a teacher and students. And so we have all of those perspectives that are really important and valuable. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going this trip. I will throw out there that there are lots of other legislative fly-ins planned from different entities, and educational funding is on the list of other advocates. And so if we have any extra material that we can pass out to some of those other groups that are also going to be going to Juneau and in part advocating for education funding, to share some of that information.
Yeah, I know.
Have that.
I know the Principals Association is planning to be there for the fly-in, just prior to when the district administration is going.
Yeah, and I got the list yesterday. There's probably 6 or 7 ASD principals heading down so far. So I'm probably finally seeing those.
No problem.
I was gonna say also, you can make available key contacts, that at different times when things before certain committees or whatnot. It's fun to go and go visit our friends. It's easy to use up all your time that way, but you can have a list of people that we need to address. That's helpful in terms of just whatnot. I'm thinking I may be down there, but I'll do my track watching.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments about anything legislative related, line related? No, we are just 2 minutes over, but if somebody wants to recommend adjourning, I'd be happy to. Okay, perfect.
Second, thank you. You heard a second.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.